Hey everyone, geophysicist Stefan Burns here. There has been a very powerful sequence of eruptions at Lewotobi Laki-Laki Volcano in Indonesia. And this is the biggest eruption that they've had there for some time now. They've been getting bigger and bigger each time. There was an eruption on June 18th and then also on July 7th. That one sent an ash column about 35,000 feet up. And this one now has sent ash and lightning, as you can see, going up more than 12 miles. So there was a big electrical impulse created from this eruption at Lewotobi Laki-Laki. Of course, the perimeter zone was under threat, you could say. There was magma flying out all over the slope here. This is a photo from after the main push of lava out of the volcano, but we see the ash cloud rising here, and what happens is you get these convective forces within this strong updraft because you have this big release of heat from deep in the earth, and also as that magma is traveling up, it's depressurizing and releasing these volatile gases. So this could be carbon dioxide, this could be sulfur, other things like that. And then also you get a tremendous amount of water just naturally incorporated into this. And so you get this very unique setup where you have these huge electromagnetic potentials building as this thing is convecting and swirling and going chaotic and shooting straight up to the stratosphere. This may not get all the way up there, but it at least tries. And this then generates these powerful discharges of electrical energy in between these very powerful positive and negative polarities that develop. And as this keeps traveling up, that continues on for a while. This eruption was 14 minutes long today. There's actually two of them. One was on August 1st, today it's the second. And the second one was bigger, more powerful. And in fact, it created an electrical impulse that you will see in the Schumann resonances. This is what it looked like just an hour later. This is all photos via magma, which is the Indonesian volcanic geologic group. And so they have a gallery posting photos of all their volcanoes that are active every 6 hours or so. And so this is, you can see how this ash column has really expanded at this point, much taller. But it's that initial surge that provides all this volcanic lightning. And that, in fact, was picked up in the Schumann resonances, Earth's naturally resonant background energy fields. They overlap with all these different systems, geologic and also biologic. We are part of that. But for example, the Schumann resonances, they are these specific frequencies of light energy in the 0 to 45 hertz range. So the foundational mode is 7.8 hertz. And that overlaps with theta and alpha activity in the brain. And then you have, and that's 70% of the power within these resonances. So just think vibrations that are always pulsing. They kind of ebb and flow, but they never fully turn off. The Earth has these just humming all the time. So every 8 seconds or so, this thing is 8 times a second, this foundational mode is pulsing. Then this one here, mode 2, is the second mode that is at 14 hertz. But you see that there's a band there. So there's a little bit of width to that. So like 13.5 to 14.5 hertz, you have more energy in that natural vibration. And then you have 20 hertz, 25 to 26, 33, 39. You can see they decrease in power as you go up in frequency. Here's our power legend. We see blue is low power. These hot colors are high power. And our frequency here is on the y-axis, 0 hertz up top. That's an infinite wavelength effectively. 40 hertz there is 40 cycles per second. 8 hertz is a 40,000 kilometer wavelength, which is the circumference of the Earth, and that is why these frequencies of light energy naturally resonate with the planet and all these other things. But Schumann resonances are fascinating because you can take them and look at that signal across time, and it's an accurate gauge of global temperature. So it's a very descriptive signal, you could say, for a whole bunch of things. It's created primarily by lightning strikes, which is why when you have volcanic lightning, you pick up these signals in the Schumann resonances, depending on the distance and the amplitude and strength and duration of that volcanic lightning event. There's about 50 lightning strikes happening every single second around the globe, contributing and maintaining this global energy field. But you also have the sun charging up the outermost atmosphere of the Earth, the ionosphere, which is 1% plasma. And as that ionospheric charging is taking place. It's also subtly generating and releasing Schumann resonance energies on the daylit side. There's also space weather impacts, but there's a lot of things. But the fact that it's a global thermometer effectively tells you the like direction that the Earth is going energetically, if it's getting hotter or cooler, just on a global scale. So what that tells us is that these sort of volcanic lightning events, these one-off events, they are little inputs into that overall signal, which is descriptive of the global climate environment. And so you have a big release of heat energy that's going to heat up the Earth a little bit. Now, a lot of that will get radiated out, long wave radiation, infrared, to space, but not all of it. There is a heat imbalance. The Earth is getting hotter at this moment in time. But in this spectrogram, we see that volcanic lightning event. It's really interesting. This is local atmospheric activity, like let's say a rain cloud, some thunder clouds nearby or directly over the observation station. This is observed in Tomsk, Russia. So this is UTC plus 7 time. We see that right there in this volcano here. We see the time here, it's UTC plus 8. So that allows us to kind of piece back exactly when this occurred. And the other one was at, was it 26 a.m. UTC plus 8? Something like that. Right there early in the morning. So if we go here, this is UTC plus 7, we drop an hour off and we get 23:26 or so, right basically 23:30. Remember, this is like a 14-minute long eruption. We see this pulse of activity right there in the Schumann resonances. And as a perfect comparison, we also have a local lightning storm that happened right over Tomsk, Russia. And you see what happened here with the power. So this is like the ELF energy that the Earth is receiving, and if you were standing there, that you would be receiving biophysically if you were directly underneath a lightning storm, a thunderstorm, or even a very powerfully charged electrified rain cloud. But this is lightning. They had lightning in Tomsk, Russia for this time frame. So this is a local atmospheric disturbance in Tomsk, Russia, primarily affecting those people. But you go to Indonesia with Lewotobi Laki-Laki, and even though that is thousands of kilometers away, we still see that lightning impulse right there, showing that these far-flung events, if powerful enough, can still influence the background global energy field, or at least a much wider radius around them. So the point of saying all that is that we've been having increased activity after this magnitude 8.8 megaquake. We had Kilauea Volcano just erupt in Kamchatka immediately afterwards. Also, the other I think it's, I don't remember the name of it, the biggest volcano in the Kamchatka Peninsula that's active, that erupted immediately after the megaquake. And that's a new volcano for me, hence why I don't remember the name off the top of my head. It starts with a K. So we had those two erupt. Now we have Lewotobi Laki-Laki erupting with its biggest eruption yet. The time interval from June 18th to July 7th, when we had 2 eruptions, was 19 days. And then from July 7th to today, that's effectively 25 days. So there seems to be a reoccurrence interval for these 3 most recent eruptions of about 22 days or so. So we might see Lewotobi Laki-Laki erupt again in spectacular fashion by the end of August. We'll have to wait and see about that. But this is the biggest volcanic eruption that's occurred effectively since that magnitude 8.8 megaquake, and we are also waiting on Kilauea Volcano to erupt. So that is an active development right now at this time, and it looks like it's going to be a bigger eruption than probably the last 29 episodes. We are waiting on episode 30. So here we have the live cam for Kilauea, and we see it's smoking right now. Episode 29 widened this vent here. So we've been getting these 1,000-foot, 1,200 feet tall lava fountaining events at Kilauea now for a few episodes. But the last one was just gurgling, but it was a higher volume. Now that this has been expanded out and we see this increased pressure coming up from the Earth for a variety of reasons, one of which I think is just that seismic shock wave disturbing all these different volcanic systems around the globe, and 8.8 is strong enough to do that around quite a wide radius. Indonesia and Hawaii both being fairly close to the epicenter. I think we're going to see something spectacular here. USGS is estimating that this will occur on Saturday, today, August 2nd, or tomorrow, the 3rd. Here we have our monitoring data from Kilauea provided by the USGS, and we see the electronic tilt. And this is right in that zone that allows us to predict it. So we see that we've been having these ongoing eruptions. We just get this increase, and all of a sudden that drop is the eruption. So this last one here was about 10 days. You see going from July 10th to the 20th, but this has been longer. And I think it's going to reach actually higher. They've been kind of getting taller and taller each time. If I scroll up on this. And so this one being more extended, there you actually see the shaking from that tsunami and from the 8.8 megaquake. Now it's just taking a little bit of a dip. We see some of these features there where it goes up, takes a little dip, a breather, then it shoots up. So I think this could even be higher before it has that eruption. So we could be looking at even like Monday or Tuesday perhaps, or a complete system change. That's the alternative. But Kilauea is about to erupt in spectacular fashion next. Now, if you're joining in, hello and welcome. I'm your host, Stefan Burns, geophysicist, space weatherman, cosmic dude, and more. We just cover a lot of interesting things here. So if you like these sort of Earth energy updates, I release videos nearly daily, then please subscribe. What we're going to do after this report, which is a brief report today on the energetic conditions here on Earth, is perform a shamanic activation, because these elemental energies are clearly very strong right now. And a lot of us have, I would say everyone, has a latent ability to work with these elements for whatever creative purpose or design that you want. And so we will do a sound healing meditation. I have a few different instruments. I have my Tibetan bowl. I have my crystal bowl, as you can hear and see there. Also a tuning fork, 528 hertz, and we will do a activation of our natural elemental magic and shamanic gifts. And if you like to activate that for yourself or participate, then please stick to the end of the live stream. If you're like, what the heck is this? Then you can bounce out anytime, no hard feelings. So yes, some very powerful earth energies active at this moment in time. And we've also had some significant earthquakes. We can look at our earthquake activity via USGS. You'll notice I'm zoomed in right away on Oaxaca, Mexico, which had a 5.8 earthquake. So not magnitude 6, but getting close. This is the second strongest earthquake of today, because you'll notice that we did have a magnitude 6 aftershock here south of that epicenter of the 8.8 megaquake. So we're still getting magnitude 6 earthquakes rattling off south of Kamchatka. We have not had a really big aftershock yet. I mean, there was the 8.8 and then a minute later a 6.9, but I would have expected there to be a magnitude 7-ish aftershock. It could still happen. The fact that this is showing so much activity still does raise the possibility of the fact that this could be a doublet. Because the last earthquake, for example, in Russia, this location, just about 42 kilometers away, was a magnitude 9. That was November 4th of 1952. And well, if you compare the energy of a magnitude 8.8 to a magnitude 9, a magnitude 9 is 1.6 times stronger than an 8.8 in amplitude and 2 times stronger in terms of energy release. So what that means is that if this didn't fully dissipate the energy, because there's, let's say, a magnitude 9 worth of energy stored in this fault system, and we had this 8.8 and then these aftershocks. These aftershocks are nothing in terms of energy release compared to an 8.8. So this could be indicating that we have a doublet that could be happening within, I would say, probably 30 to 90 days, and probably on the shorter side of that. And that would be another 8.5, 8.8, or so, probably not stronger, but it wouldn't be impossible to see there be a second high magnitude earthquake there to release that built up energy in a way that's equivalent to what occurred in 1952. So that's an interesting thing to keep in mind. But this 5.8 there in Oaxaca, quite strong. The first earthquake I ever felt was actually in Mexico, just south of here, in Mazunte, near Puerto Escondido. So you have all these tiny little towns here. Here's Mazunti right here, south of, in the Oaxaca province, but at the very southern tip. And so I was there and I was chilling by a pool on a slope, and this magnitude 5 something hit and shook everything. I was like, holy cow, like, do we have a really big one coming through? But it was just that first shock. But definitely people up here in the mountains feeling that strongly. At 5.8 is nothing to sneeze at. So there has been some powerful earthquake activity following this magnitude 8.8 megaquake. We can see that if you go to our www.earthevolution.com/energy-analytics portal, and we can see our global seismic activity for the past 90 days as provided by Volcano Discovery. And so here's where we were, having some magnitude 6s, but in general moderate activity, some low days as well, as you can see, where it's just like magnitude 5s or maybe not even. Some days you kind of like are struggling to breach that magnitude 5 zone. Then we had these quakes here, the 7.3 Alaska, 7.4 Kamchatka. That was a foreshock. More activity. We were forecasting this, saying, hey, we got a global burst coming through. That was spot on. 3 days before the 8.8, I basically forecasted that there was going to be, there was a much higher potential and probability in the immediate near future for Kamchatka for there to be a megaquake, 8.5 or greater. That happened. That's right there. We see a lot of the activity following. So it's just been a big release of energy globally, and that is likely to continue through August. So that's the point, is that we have all this volcanic energy, which is representative of the fire element. We have all this earth energy right now that's very powerful, representative of the earthquakes. The earthquakes are representing that. Of course, we have the water element with the oceans and the changes in salinity that are occurring there, specifically in the southern hemisphere around Antarctica. And then the air element is definitely being represented by all the intense atmospheric activity that's occurring right now, especially this electrification. And seeing that refinement going from this volcanic activity to a more plasma based energy is very interesting, because here you have this big release of heat and magma, and then it actually generates some plasma in the process. So the Earth is actively electrifying and plasmifying at this moment in time. It was actually birthed by plasma. So you have the protostar disk going out like this, and what you'll have is the small dust particles that finally get large enough to drop their electromagnetic charge, because everything's ionized, right? Everything is super heated, super energetic and ionized, therefore plasma. The entire protosolar disk is plasma, but things start to cool, and as they get bigger, these dust grains, they lose their ionization potential, no longer influenced by the electromagnetic field generated by that large plasma protostar disk, the accretionary disk, and then they will condense down to the region of greatest gravity due to just the greater collection of some material mass due to natural chemical differentiation and more. So these dust grains will precipitate down. In fact, the outer planets, both the inner ones and then the gas giant outer planets, all the planets outside of what accumulates and turns into the sun, they're in fact the most refined plasma, because anything that dropped in temperature and in charge, it went to the sun. So the most energetic particles that stayed energized at these certain shells and boundary zones around the protostar in that disk were all plasma. And so Earth was birthed in plasma. It was plasma in its birth, and that is still alive here. And now we're seeing these electrical discharges, these plasma discharges sometimes shoot up from the Earth and go up. And that is very powerful. So these are the forces that we are working with, and I think as inhabitants of this Earth, which has a history far beyond our current awareness and understanding, there is a lot of potential that exists that we can access if we so choose. And this is pure creative potential. So these volcanoes and these eruptions are reminding us of that potential and our ability to seize upon these natural Earth energies, not to seize upon them, but to actually resonate with them in coherence and use that to create, you could say, a new Earth, or at least the reality and the vision that you want to create to inspire others and to just form a more harmonious, peaceful society and planet. So with that, one last thing I want to show you before we get into our shamanic activation, if you're not excited already for that, we have two things actually left before we get into that, is that we can see this electrical impulse from the volcanic lightning again with our data out of Tomsk, Russia. And again, I want to put this in perspective because a lot of people look at some of these events that are global and they put a lot into them. And that's not to say there's nothing there, but this is the spike in the foundational mode and amplitude for that volcanic burst. We see our scale here going to 86 for the first mode, okay? This is across the entire time zone. And this line here, let's just call it 20. So that line right there is 20. So this spike got to about 10. That global impulse event, as measured in Tomsk, Russia, got to relative scale 10. But the local event, that local thunderstorm rolling overhead, that went all the way up to 86. So let's say you're living in the Midwest of the United States, right? You could certainly connect to these energies in a more kind of metaphysical way, but what's actually going to be affecting you biophysically may be the thunderstorm that's over your head, or will be rolling through your area 2 days later. That's your local activation, right? This is more of a global signal. So keep that in mind. We see that very clearly with our data out of Tomsk, Russia. There's a big difference between this event and that event locally. So last, I want to check our 211 angstrom view of the sun because we do have this coronal hole high-speed stream that will be impacting us fairly soon. And we see also just in general new sunspots on the sun. So we have 4167 right there, getting more active, and the solar flare activity has been bumping up a little bit. We still have yet to have an M-class flare, but that is growing and getting more active. Then we have 4161 right there, and then 4165 right there. So these are the three main sunspot groups at this time in this perimeter around this coronal hole, and this is moving into this geoeffective position. So this is not that big, it's quite thin, but it is perfectly transequatorial. It does look like it's closed up a little bit just in the past 24 hours or so. So we don't know how much of an influence that's going to have on the Earth in terms of the solar wind, but we do know something big is coming, and that's this guy right here. This is the biggest coronal hole that we've had on the sun for a long time. This could be like a decade plus, and it's survived 11 rotations now, going back to October, and it's been getting bigger. Though it's kind of stabilized in size for the past 5 rotations or so. But we see it start to rotate in, and this thing's a monster going off and wrapping around the entire back of the sun. So eventually that'll rotate into view. So we're looking at around mid-August for some enhanced space weather as a result. And this is the coronal hole that's been driving a lot of this earthquake activity. So with these high-speed streams, the last rotation of that one hit us with 3 high-speed streams in a row. We had the solar wind velocity go up to 700, 800 kilometers 3 times back to back to back. So that was a big reason why we had that 8.8 megaquake leading up to that. We had another one that followed right afterwards, and then eventually, boom, boom shakalaka, it happened. So this is coming up soon. That's more like mid-August, but we have this other stuff to go through before that. And we have, of course, the historic planetary resonances sequence of August 8th, August 9th, and just in general, that time period from about now to mid-August. So we have that, and then right after that, when things get more quiet astronomically in terms of geometries and such, and archetypal energies, then we have the space weather reality really come back into it. So keep that in mind as your a little bit of a longer range forecast. Now let's do our shamanic activation to work with these natural energies, these elemental energies. Boom shakalaka is right. Hello, welcome everyone to the live stream. I see you all been there in the chat, active and chatting. I hope you're all having a wonderful Saturday. So yeah, if this is your first time watching this is the sort of things that we cover on the channel. Sometimes I stay bit more scientific in the reports. Other times I'm much more in this spiritual domain, but we like to blend both of them together here on the channel. And at the end of the day, this channel is just a place for me to express my interest in who I am to the fullest extent as I see fit. So you will see a lot of different things posted on this channel, but all of them are created by me, and it's all my own research and standing on the shoulders of giants of other people. But that is what we do. And so I'd invite you, if you are interested in better connecting to these elemental energies, we have fire, water, air, earth, even plasma, these 5 powerful elements, then I invite you to just enter into a comfortable position or just repose, just become a bit more embodied and pay attention to your breathing, that flow of life force energy through you, just as the earth has these convective energies and this flow of powerful circuitry within her body, and then even beyond out to space, so too do we within our deep core. The heart is pumping blood, it's electromagnetic, and then there's all these nerves and the electrical energy of our body extending out to the biofield and going outwards, connecting to everyone and to the Schumann resonances. Perhaps you did feel that burst of electrical activity from that volcanic lightning, and there's likely to be more powerful activations. Deep breath. Ground into the moment. As the earth is evolving, so too are we. If we evolve in coherence and resonance with her, it is not surprising. It's not frightening. It's seen as a gift and an opportunity. That's why we pay attention to these earth energy changes to help bring awareness to what's changing within ourselves, in our relationships with others, friends, family, loved ones, pets, the strangers around us. And finding an equal balance of these elements and energies allows you to more effectively co-create with the universe. We are all created in the image of God and have His abilities. If you so choose to use them. Breathe. Fill your body with this new awareness and life force energy. Feel the frequencies. We now open the crown chakra to receive these energies from above us, from Father Sky, Mother Earth, the Sun, and the cosmos. Visualize a flow of energy all the way from your root chakra, in between your legs, your pelvis, your groin, flowing up. That Kundalini energy through your spine, activating it. Your posture, stand taller, sit taller, lay, stretch out. Expand and breathe. Feel that flow of energy. It's electrical activity. Calling you to awaken. passive person, but an active recipient of life. We awaken latent shamanic gifts, powers. We learn to work with the elemental energies, the channel fire, harness the power of the wind to flow like water and to move mountains like the earth. We are collectively experiencing a great awakening of our ancient past and of our glorious future by living in the present of the now. Rise, 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 shamans. The activation is complete. This process takes time, but it has begun, or it's been carried forward and accelerated if you've already been activated. We harmonize together in coherence. We conclude this activation ceremony. In peace and harmony. Ooh, in oneness with the universe. That was a weird hit. It was interesting. That's nice. Yes, thank you all so much for joining me today. Happy to provide this Earth Energy report for you and also this Cosmic Connection meditation. However this may help you, I'm happy to do this, and that is what I often am doing on this channel, supporting all of you who all support me in return. So if you'd like to join in on this movement, then please subscribe to the channel and make sure to smash that like button. It just helps the channel grow. Comments, all these things. But honestly, you guys are amazing already. We have a huge number of people that are watching regularly and liking, commenting, talking, sharing. So the community is already there. It doesn't need any further encouragement, I would say. I'm just going to continue to do my absolute best to deliver to you the most accurate information out there from a holistic perspective, inclusive of both sides of the brain, science, and spirit, and everything in between. So that is my mission, my goal, my agenda, that as of right now, I've devoted my life to. We'll see where that takes me in the future, but I'm very excited with the direction that I have plotted because I have a lot more to share with you in the coming months and years. So if you'd like to stay a part of this journey as we continue onwards, then again, you can subscribe. You can even join channel membership. There are some perks. I'll be releasing more members only videos with time. And once more, thank you all so much. Please take care of yourselves. Wishing all of you well, and we'll be back with more as the Earth dictates. So we're here to watch her changes unfold and how that's influencing us at the same time. It's exciting stuff. So please be well till then. I'll see you all very soon.